Hello friends, welcome to C programming tutorials. In this class we are going to learn about command line arguments. In previous class we saw how to execute the programs. First we see how to execute a program. So how? The first step is you are going to write the program. Second step, compile the program. And third step, execute the program. For example, my program name is program 4. Program 4.c. I write this program. So what is the second step? Compile this program. How we can compile? GCC program 4.c. So after compilation, how to execute? /a.out. Okay, so this command we are going to use to execute this program. Now, so what is a command line argument means? At the time of execution, if you give any arguments, for example, here I am giving CRR college. Now, so these two arguments we are called as a command line arguments. So how we can execute? So /a.out. So after this instruction, if you give any arguments, so these arguments we are called as a command line arguments. So how many arguments you are going to give? These arguments number is stored in one variable and all these arguments are stored in one array. You ignore about array. We discuss in further classes. In this class, you are going to understand about only command line arguments. What is a command line argument? So command line arguments is nothing but the arguments you are going to give at the time of execution. So these arguments we are going to give to the main function. So main is a function. If you observe that, so main is also a function. Open bracket, closing bracket. And as a function, it may have parameters. The functions have the parameters. Main is a function, so main is also have parameters. When main have parameters, they are known as command line arguments. That means if the main have some arguments, these arguments we are called as a command line arguments. In main, we are going to define two arguments. One is argc and argv. You can give any variable names here, but so these two we are going to use traditionally. By tradition, we are going to use this argc and argv. Argc variable. So this variable holds argument count. So how many arguments here we are giving? 2. And the program name is another. So 3 arguments. So what is the argc? So argc represents argument count. And argv is a argument vector. That means it's like a array. The name is argv. So this is the 0th index, 1, 2, 3 and so on. In 0th index, it stores program name. Here /a.out. The first argument is CRR. The second argument is college. So this is about command line arguments. What is a command line argument? At the time of execution, you are going to give arguments to the main function. So these arguments we are called as a command line arguments. Now we see the example. Here, so this is the main. So normally we write main like this, int main open bracket closing bracket. That means there is no command line arguments. If you are going to use the command line arguments in your program, then you are going to give int main, int argc and char asterisk argv. You ignore about all these asterisks, all those things. Here you are concentrate on command line arguments. Now I give CRR, I execute like this /a.out. After that I give CRR college of ENGG. Okay, so now you say what is the value of argc? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is argc. And what about argv? Argv is a vector. In this, in 0, the name /a.out. In one index, it stores CRR. into it stores college, in 3 of, in 4 engg. So how many arguments? 5. And the arguments are stored like this. Now you are going to print one by one. So printf the number of arguments argc %d argc. What is the argc value? 5. So it prints 5. Printf the name of the program. So what is the where we store the name of the program? In argv of 0. Here string. So you are going to use %s. For string you are going to use %s. Integer %d. Now I want to print all the values in this argv array. How? Here we are going to use for loop. In next classes we are going to learn about this for loop. Here this printf you concentrate on. So %s argv of 1. In first you are going to print crr. So next the I value becomes 2. Then it prints college. Next it becomes 3 and it prints off. So next it becomes 4 and it prints engg. So next it becomes 5. 5 less than 5 false. We terminate the loop. Okay. So now this is the output. 5./a.out and crr college of engg. This is the output. We see the execution of this program. So now we see command line arguments. So what is a command line argument means? In this terminal you are going to execute like this. So ./a.out. So after that, if you give the arguments here, for example crr college of engineering. If you give arguments here, so these arguments we are called as a command line arguments. So first we see the program. A command line argument means we pass the arguments to main function. So main is also a function. Okay. So in this, so these two argc and argv. Argc holds the number of arguments. Argv holds all the arguments. It's an array. We discuss in detail in future classes what is the array, all these things. You ignore all these things, star, all these things. Here you are going to give the arguments at runtime. So those arguments are stored in this array. Okay. So now the argc represents the number of arguments. The index of argv is starting with 0. The arg of 0 contains the name of the program. Okay. So from 1 onwards, the first argument is stored. So now we are going to execute this program. gcc program 4.c. Okay. So now we are going to execute this ./a.out. We press return without any command line arguments. If I press enter, what it displays? The number of arguments are 1. Why 1? In argv of 0, it stores the program name. What is the program name here? ./a.out. Okay. So now we are going to execute another time. Here we are going to give the argument crr college of engineering. So now, so 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments with name. The arguments are 5 and the program name is ./a.out and it prints the argument crr college of engineering. Now we see one more time. Here we write one looping instruction. Ignore about the looping instruction. It going to print the content in the array. This is the argv. Argv of 0 contains the program name. Argv of 1 means crr, 2 means college, 3 means off, 4 means engineering. It displays. Okay. So by using this for loop. So this is about command line arguments. So simply saying, so command line arguments are nothing but so pass the arguments to main function at the time of execution.